Hello and welcome to the Al Recap, a talk show focused on the Overwatch League. I am Blazing Bob, and today I'm joined by Mel. How you doing, Mel?
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year to you too, and to everyone out there listening. Do you want to tell anybody about your trips or your travels over the last 2 weeks? We've been gone a little while.
Yeah, we have. It's been kind of a crazy couple weeks just with Thanksgiving and then a short time in between and then Christmas. So went back to Kansas City. Got a new car, so that was exciting. We got to take the new car down there. And yeah, we spent some time down there. The worst thing about going back to Kansas City is that you can't play Overwatch. So you're kind of just stuck. Although I don't even think we would have had any time to play Overwatch because let me tell you, when you live out of town and you go back, it's a lot more crazy than when you live in town.
It's hell. I mean, it's literally. I planned on doing a lot of stuff while I was out of town. I planned on trying to get an episode out last week, but I didn't even have time to pull out my Switch or my iPad to game at all. So we were kind of bummed about that, but we are back now, and everything should be on schedule from here on out. So I don't see us taking any week breaks, and iPlay will be back soon, so it's going to be good. Uh, we
For
would
sure.
like we would like to start off the show by thanking our two recap producers. Yes, you heard me right. I said two. Thank you, Shazir, for upping your Patreon, and give a warm welcome to our new recap producer, Thrill.
Thanks,
Very
guys.
exciting. Yeah,
It means a
super
lot,
cool.
especially right before the season starts. It's super helpful. So thank you so much. And to all of our other Patreons, even $1 helps. We really appreciate everything you do.
Yes, yes. And we're going to be doing a challenge. Uh, I'm going to be trying to put that together tomorrow. So more to come on that. Follow us on Twitter if you want more information. And let's go over what we're going to talk about tonight. So tonight we're going to talk about quite a bit of news. We're going to talk about the player discipline tracker. We're going to talk a little bit about home games. And if time allows, we might talk about the differences between double game and single game weeks and bye weeks, and just kind of riff off of that. But with that being said, let's go ahead and jump right in. So, big news, and this one especially made me happy. Effect of the Dallas Fuel has come out and publicly said he is bisexual. Now, I don't know about you, Mel, but for me, this it gives me relief that that was probably a lot of his mental problems, quote unquote mental problems he was dealing with, and this could possibly let him be comfortable in his own skin. What did you take from it?
Yeah, I mean, I was just really, honestly, just really happy for him that he was able to come out and state that this is kind of what's been weighing on him. And I think it was probably very hard for him. He's kept this secret for a long time. And I think in Korea, it's a little bit more frowned upon than maybe it is here in the States, especially in LA. And I think maybe he was surrounded by some more accepting people of that. And I hope that he is accepted by everybody and this doesn't, you know, bring him any hate, which I'm sure it will. And tisk to all of you if you're thinking that. But I think it's great. I think he will be a better person because he's honest with himself and with everybody else. And I'm really happy for him.
Yeah, me too. And if Muma is any indicator of how he will be treated in the community, by the majority, he's going to be treated well.
For sure.
So, in other news, the Toronto Defiance Beverly Hills mansion. Now, it's cracked me up. I saw this on one of Michael's videos, and he called it a $1 million home. And I thought I almost spit my drink up because he obviously has never checked out real estate in Los Angeles. That's a multi-million-dollar home. It's a huge house with multiple pools. They had one or two hot tubs. I mean, it's just huge, huge kitchen. I don't know how they're going to split up the rooms because there is some kind of big rooms. I don't know if people will be sharing those, if it's kind of like Big Brother, where the first person that gets there just grabs their bed and then that's
Mhm.
theirs, or what's going on. But
Plenty of closet space for all of their new shoes.
oh yeah, the closets were huge, man. I think Gesture would be a little jealous.
Yes, very much so. I
Uh,
just thought it was cool. I think it's exciting to see the new teams getting these houses or team areas that are exciting for the players as well. It's obviously going to be something that's hard and difficult for people again in season 2, even though the expectations are a little bit lower this year with the number of games. Still a long season and it's still going to be hard. So glad to see that the Defiant will be comfy.
Me too. Me too.
Mhm.
This next one, St. Jude partners with the LA Valiant. I'm going to let you talk a little bit about this Mel.
Yeah, give me 2 seconds. So I want to say that they're doing they partnered with Immortals, which owns LA Valiant.
Owns the Valiant.
Right.
But
So,
for our listeners, like they'd care that it's the LA Valiant, you know.
right. But they have committed to raising a total of $500,000 over 2 years to support the St. Jude mission. And I don't know if anybody knows anything about St. Jude, but they're just a really great organization. And it's a research hospital. They treat kids with cancer for free. And I think lots of other things. And it's just a great thing. And to see the LA Valiant kind of committing to them and just saying, like, we're going to help you raise money. You're kind of our charity that we're going to raise money for is pretty cool.
Well, they have a great theme song too, isn't it? That "Hey Jude, give me
I
your
don't know.
money, take your
No.
checkbook and no." Maybe that's something different. I'm not sure. Maybe someone else did that song.
Oh my gosh.
The next one. This one was extremely exciting for me and fun to watch two big people discuss something over an open forum like Twitter. So Mark Cuban and Nate Nancer have words over Twitter regarding player burnout. And there was a bunch of different things said uh, throughout it. Uh, Basically, Nate came back with okay. So first off, Mark Cuban comes out and says these esports players are retiring in their 20s, and their late 20s. They probably should retire. That's just you've gotten a
Okay,
little
but
slow at that point. Go ahead.
who is Mark Cuban?
Oh,
Because I didn't know when I first read it.
okay. Mark Cuban owns. Now you got me on the spot. He owns an
Dallas
NFL
Maverick.
team and a. I believe he owns the Redskins also too.
I think it's the Dallas Mavericks.
Well, yeah, he owns the Mavericks, but then I think he owns an NFL team too. I swear he owned the Redskins. I don't know. Listeners, if you want to tweet at us and let us know, I think he owns the Redskins
I definitely know he owns the Mavericks.
because that was in the article. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
But they talked about he talked about that, and then Nate comes in and says, they have to constantly, change because of the meta. Mark Cuban comes in at one point and says, "Well, I'm not an Al expert, but the Brigitte change, we would never make a rule change mid-season." And then Nate comes back with, "That's a good point. We're working on that," which would be the whole they're, not going to make changes during stages.
Okay, I agree with that to some extent, but at the same time, just because you have a game that doesn't change in its appearance doesn't mean it doesn't change. There's constantly teams working on developing new strategies and new things that will change the game fundamentally. Basketball is not the same game it was in the 80s as it is now. And so,
Definitely not. Better shorts for sure.
but you could definitely say that there is something to a game that doesn't change technically, but it has changed and evolved quite a bit. And so I don't like that argument as much. I will say Nate Nanzer's retort to him saying, working 8 to 10 hours a day doesn't seem out of the ordinary to be the best in the world at literally anything. And it's true. And I think that them coming up with standards of how long you're required to practice and all of that, just like jobs do. You get overtime if you work more than 40 hours a week. But there's a lot of people that are salaried that work a lot more because they want to be the best. And that's what these people are doing. And if they can't do that and the teams can't be trusted to make sure that that's a environment that's appropriate for them, then they need to look inward, not at the overall structure, I think.
Well, 8 to 10 hours, 5 days a week, I don't think is too much to ask at all. But Nate, I'm a Nate lover, but Nate's nose grew a little bit with that because I don't think any Overwatch team practices that little.
But I think that was in retort to something that Mark Cuban had said.
Yeah, they didn't have that retort up in the article, but I don't know. I think what needs to happen is rules and regulations need to be put in place, and that will solve a lot of the problems for the
For sure.
most part. Because across everything, across all the different nations, like work ethic and expectations on working is vastly different. There was something wanted to say about this though, but seems to have seems to have left me. I don't know. We're gonna move on, unless you have something else that you wanted to say about it.
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think it leads pretty nicely into another player leaving the Overwatch League. But a lot of times, I think you can pinpoint these players' burnout and leaving the Overwatch League with specific teams. And maybe that's what they need to look at.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, good point. But at the same time, just they could help themselves out quite a bit by starting with just some rules and regulations, and like we've talked about before, player unions is where that gets going. So maybe these retired players can start some player unions. If they're looking for something new to do,
See, there we go.
a new path, there's one of them.
Yep.
Jake might be on that train sooner rather than later. I don't know.
Leave my Jake alone.
I'm leaving him alone. So Twitch has already allowed you to connect your BattleNet account, but I guess they're going to try something new for toxicity. When they're first trying it out with the contenders Twitch. So, but they've been real vague on like what the punishments are going to be, and can those punishments for saying something in Twitch chat leak, like come over to your BattleNet side and get you actually banned from the game. That's
Well, I
what a
think that's
lot of
what they're
people are
doing.
asking.
Well, I think that's what they've said their plan is to connect your BattleNet account to Twitch, and you have to be connected to be able to talk in Twitch chat. So if you don't have a BattleNet account, you can't talk in Twitch chat. And so they're testing it in contenders, and then they're going to see if this helps. But I think their goal is to ban you from Overwatch if you're toxic in Twitch chat.
See, and to not be able to talk in Twitch chat if you don't leak your BattleNet account, I don't know if I agree with that because you're trying to get people that don't even play to watch also.
Yeah, but if you don't play, I mean, if I didn't play Overwatch, I would watch it on TV or I would watch it on the computer. And I do play Overwatch and I close out the chat because chat is just stupid at this point. So I think they're trying to make chat maybe more of an effective avenue to communicate with people as opposed to just a spam bot.
Yeah, see, I just don't know because like what I do like, it's something that a friend of ours, Hippo, pointed out to us a long time ago, is that Twitch chat, if used in like the Overwatch League type of environment, like it's like fans cheering, like you throwing up your Dallas Fuel or Houston Outlaws emojis is you cheering for your team. And I don't know if I agree with that really, but I mean, he did have kind of a point. I mean, it did
I
it
mean,
did make
but what's your
sense.
argument there? That people that don't have BattleNet accounts can't cheer for their team?
Yes, if that's
Correct
the
me if I'm
case,
wrong. You can get a BattleNet account for free.
you are entirely correct.
Right. So if you want to cheer for your team, go sign up for a BattleNet account. It didn't say you had to have an Overwatch account.
True, true. Still seems like a lot of work, though, doesn't it?
I mean, it seems like a lot of work to read Twitch chat right now.
I mean,
So
I only linked my account so that I could earn the in-game rewards for watching the streams. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know how well that's gonna work. But speaking of, earlier with Nate Nancer and Mark, speaking of player burnout, mistakes from the Boston Uprising has retired from professional Overwatch. Do you want to talk a little bit about that, Mo?
no, I mean it's just mistakes. I feel like he was kind of pushed into the scenario in a very awkward way when He Who Shall Not Be Named went down. And I think, yeah, he probably burned out. He had to learn new characters in a matter of a week to try to make this team something that nobody believed or thought he could. And I think he practiced a lot and he probably burned himself out. And it's unfortunate, but I think it's better for him to take a break and retire than it is. And I don't like this whole retire thing. Let me be clear here, because you can't retire and say you might come back someday. Like that's not that's not retiring. You
Sounds a
can't
little
just
wishy-washy.
yeah, like in his tweeters, tweet longer, whatever it is, he said like maybe someday I'll come back. And I'm like, no, then you're taking a break. You're taking a break or sabbatical. Like, don't tell me you're retiring because retiring in my eyes means you're done. Goodbye.
Yeah, yeah, you make a pretty good point, but at the same time, it's a different situation. It'd be like an NFL player saying, "I'm retiring. I'm going to go try baseball, and who knows, I might be back." I mean, I guess that could happen. Doubtful, but could happen.
Who retires and goes play another sport?
Well, it's happened quite a bit. Baseball, basketball, and football have interchanged players before.
Okay, okay.
Oh well, but I don't know. It's sad to see him go. What I saw from him when we got to go to the press conference and stuff at Stage 3 is he did not like all the attention he was getting for playing Widowmaker. He seemed to be real uncomfortable by it. So I wonder if it's the game or the stardom that messed with him, or just the public eye. Because being, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, or even the lack of stardom at the end, right? Like he came out with a boom and they went undefeated. And then stage 4, it was kind of like, who's Boston again? And
Very
I
true. Very
think
true.
it's like he had really highs and he had really lows, which is emotionally exhausting. And he also had to work a ton at this. So that was physically exhausting. So I think it's just a combination of everything. He was just like, I got to step back. Like, I'm done. And Totem brings up he was from Boston and he played for, you know, the Kraft family. So
Extremely successful sports franchise owner. Yes, yes, I know. Yes, I don't like him,
yes.
but he's good. All right, well, let's move on to the player discipline tracker. Now, this is something new that's on the Overwatch League website, and it cracked me up when I first saw it. I mean, it's great to have this type of information just out there, and instead of having to like follow tweets and everything else. But let's just go over some of the discipline that's currently going on. So, Apply from the Florida Mayhem is suspended for 2 games for account boosting. Color Hex from Boston Uprising, same, 2 games for account boosting. Crystal from the Hanzu Spark, suspended for 1 game for account boosting. Nico from Toronto Defiant suspended 3 games for selling an account and obstructing league office investigation. So I'm guessing that he lied, is what that means. Ripa from the Los Angeles Gladiators suspended 5 games for throwing matches and toxicity. 5 games instead of 2, like account boosting we've seen so far. Rise from the Guangzhou Charge, fined $1,000 for account sharing, and then Violet from the San Francisco Shock suspended for 2 games for account boosting. And what I saw here was just differences in what happened to different players based on the situation. It seems like there's no clear cut, except for the 2 games for account boosting. I don't know what that is. Does that just mean they're like, what do they classify as boosting? Is it logging in on someone else's account, or is it playing with someone and helping them win games? I'm a little unsure.
Do you think it's that, or do you think it's something for being with a company that sells boosting? You know what I mean? Either way.
Oh, you're saying because those often do coaching too. You're saying that if they're just affiliated with one and there's proof of it, then they're
Maybe, or
getting
maybe it's like they're
suspensions.
getting paid to boost, whether they log into somebody's account or they have them with them and they boost them up. I think getting paid to boost is something different than helping a friend get to plat. You know what I mean? Like, and that's just my opinion. Their definition could be a little bit more hardcore. I think it's interesting that there's one that's only 1 game and there's multiple that are 2 games. So I'm guessing the one for 1 game maybe didn't have as many offenses, or maybe wasn't affiliated with any company or something. But what I take from this is if you're toxic and throwing matches, you will get suspended longer than if you're boosting.
I saw that too. So
But hey,
be
let's be
nice to
real.
people. Be nice to
Yeah,
people.
put on your
Because
party pants and be
yeah,
nice.
I would like to see just a little basis of what the suspensions are for what, and I'd like a little bit more of an explanation, but
But I
it
think there's a lot that goes into it. I think it's, one, are you streaming this to let everybody know? How much boosting have you done? How much are you making from boosting? Like, I think there's just a lot of individualized factors that they don't want to put this like rule of thumb out there, just like they don't have in the NFL. Like the NFL, they don't tell you if you taunt, you'll be fined $5,000. It depends on what you were doing, right?
yeah, and
Like,
you find out the fine later on that week, you like normally.
right. So I think this is just helpful so that everybody can see that it's like, okay, these are the people that are making errors, just like you can look at it on the NFL, or I'm guessing I don't watch other sports, but I'm guessing they have it available too, where you can see which NFL players are suspended, which NBA players are suspended.
Well, you find that out really quick because that's a really juicy topic for a lot of different programs.
Right.
But I still would just like to get, I have a feeling that like these 2 game suspensions are like a, hey, don't ever do this stuff again. If it happens again, it's going to be a much larger suspension. It's just kind of funny because they suspended some people for a lot of games in season 1, and two. I guess I just wasn't expecting 2 game suspensions.
Well, and I think a lot of these people are coming in that weren't part of the league before, right? And so they're coming in and they're like, listen, you're in the Overwatch League now, cut this out, right? Like, you're done with all of this side stuff. Get out of here.
Yeah, and Totem in chat makes a really good point. Sato was running a a boosting website and was basically the kingpin, hence the 30 games. But it's still that's a
That
big
was really
difference,
the
two to
only really
30.
long one.
Yeah,
Right. He was the owner of the company. Like, he had people working for him that got suspended for 2 games, okay? Like, come on.
yeah. It just I don't know. It just seems wishy washy. But I am glad at least we have public record of it and we can go check it out and it tells us when it was last updated. I assume that if you look at it, 1 game after one of those 2 games, then it'd be, well, no, I bet it just says 2 games for account boosting. I don't know how you would actually tell from the site if one of those games has been played. We'll just have to wait and see
Well, it
when
gives
they
you the
come out.
date. So it says December 21st. There's 2 games for account boosting. So you could go look at that and see, okay, well, it's February 14th. They haven't played any games yet. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, if they don't change that anytime it updates, if they don't change them all. Because right now what I'm looking at is December 21st, and then every date on there is December 21st. But
Right.
we won't really know how they handle that until the season actually starts. But it's good. I mean, do you have anything else you thought? Like, what's the difference with the account sharing? They got a fine for $1,000 instead of. I don't get
I'm
it.
assuming they either played on somebody else's account or they let somebody play on their account, which isn't the end of the world, right? And it probably only happened once, and they were probably just being stupid. So, like, I think, yeah, $1,000 fine is just kind of like, hey, you're tiptoeing on the line here, cut it out.
Well, I hope they can't find regular people. Account sharing. Nobody does it, right? Yep. All right, moving on. So let's talk about the Homestand Weekend Series. Is that what it's called? The Homestand Weekend Series?
I believe so.
Interesting. Homestand. Why not?
Yeah.
Why Homestand?
What would you rather call it?
I don't know. Home game weekend series? I don't know. Homestand. I guess I've just never heard that term.
It's like a lemonade stand at your home. Like, come on. Makes total sense.
Oh man. All right. Well, so the first one, the Dallas Fuel, is going to be April 27th and 28th, stage 2, week 4. It's going to be at the Allen E. Event Center. Seats 7,000 people. Now I wonder
Approximately.
approximately, but I wonder if they're going to sell that out. Like I really do. That's a lot of seats.
Well, and it might vary depending on where they have the stage and if they close off any sections. You know how when they do certain things, they'll like close off the back. So it might vary a little bit. But I think for Dallas, it's probably best to have the largest one, mainly because you've got Dallas and Houston fans that will come to that game.
True, true. And then the other teams participating in it is the Spark, the Eternal, the Hunters, the Dynasty, and the Valiant, and and the Spitfire. Now, so what is that? They're bringing what, eight teams to these things. We talked about this before, and I thought they would have to do something like this to make it worthwhile to bring all the staff out. And I assume that they're just going to bring the regular staff, and the teams that aren't on these lists are going to be bye week teams. And this will be when they get their bye weeks. A lot of them.
Yeah, it's definitely, there's only 2 days in that stage. So there's not, or in that week, there's not like 2 games played in LA and 2 days played in Dallas. It's just 2 days of games, from what I understand.
Yeah, it seems like a pretty smart way to handle it. The next is Atlanta Rain, July 6th and 7th. That's stage 3, week 5. Their venue has not been announced yet. The teams participating in that are the Mayhem, Fusion, Charge, Defiant, Excelsior, Justice, Dragons, and Rain. This one's going to be really exciting for our host, Andreas. He's going to love this.
Yeah, Gabe's really excited too. But I think, okay, so I know it wasn't announced when I put this together, but that was a couple weeks ago. So I'm checking.
Hang on while we get the proper facts.
Sorry.
Live show bonus. Let's look at chat and see if there are any questions.
I can't find it, but
We'll make sure and let you know next week if it has been announced. Next is our is the LA Valiant, which is just a little cheap, but the LA Valiant is hosting one on August 24th and 25th. And they're having it at the Novo by Microsoft at LA Live, which seats roughly 2,400 patrons. This one will involve the Rain, the Uprising, Shock, Gladiators, Fuel, Excelsior, Titans, and Valiant. So the big ones here are going to
And
be.
everybody else that wants to travel 10 minutes to get to it, like, come on.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, they could definitely have more. Actually, it looks like there is more in this one because the Uprising are also. No, hold on.
The Dragons,
Am I
the
crazy?
Spark, the Dragons, the Spark, the Titans, Excelsior, Rain, Uprising, Valiant, Shock,
Yeah, they have a lot.
Fuel.
They have a lot more involved in this one, and it makes sense
Just
because
two
it's
more.
just
Fuel and
it's local.
Gladiators. Yeah, there's just two more. But yeah. I I don't know. I'm frustrated at the fact that an LA team got it. And I know Valiant's done a great job of making sure they have their stadium and they have their, stuff all put together and they already know there's a market out there for LA. But at the same time,
Seems a little
you have a
unfair.
you have a world league and you have two teams that have gotten to have home field advantage, which is LA Valiant and LA Gladiators. And then you do 3 away games and one of them is in LA. That frustrates me. And I know there was a lot of talk about the fact that a lot of people, pushed for having games in their home area and they had to prove a lot of things. They had to prove that they had a spot available. They had to prove that the market was there to have an event like that. And I get that, but come on. You have how many teams in the league and you can't find one other venue that's better than the same place you're doing it right now?
Well, it's a different venue because the Blizzard Arena only holds 450 people roughly.
I
But
know it's a different venue, but it's like down the street.
I mean, they do know that it has a big fan base, and when their games are played, the Gladiators and the Valiant, you've seen it, the crowds chanting back and forth at each other. It's super neat. So I am glad about this. What I wonder is why we didn't have another East Coast one, like in New York or somewhere in the boroughs, or why we didn't have one overseas.
I think the logistics of getting overseas was going to be a lot, right? Like I think there was more hesitation on that. I also think overseas, there's obviously a market for it overseas. And I don't know that they know that there's a market for it in all these other places, right? Like they're still testing the waters in North America. Does Texas have a market for esports? Does Atlanta have a market for esports? They can talk all they want, but if we put a game there, will people show up? And I think that's might have a lot to do with it, but I think it's more logistically. I think it's just
Yeah, I could.
getting people to Shanghai and back in a weekend is a little rough.
Yeah, I completely agree with the overseas stuff being extremely hard to do. And who knows when they thought of this idea? They could have thrown this together, and it might have been something that was really quickly conceived. But either way, it's good. We didn't know we were going to have these. We have them now, and that's pretty exciting. So
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
cool
super
with that.
excited
Yeah.
for sure.
So let's talk about the opening broadcast. Opening week matchups are going to be broadcast on ESPN, Disney, and ABC. Now, is this on the flagship ESPN or will it be on like ESPN3?
So it says it's on Disney XD. So select matches throughout the season will be on those 3 networks. But for opening week, there's 3 matchups that are on Disney XD.
Why don't you go over those matchups, Mel?
Well, we have the Hangzhou Spark and the Shanghai Dragons to see which Chinese team will win their very first match. Then we have the Outlaws versus Uprising, and then we have Fusion versus Rain. So we'll see. They're all on. No, the Shanghai Spark one is on Thursday, the 14th,
Yep.
and then the Outlaws Uprising and Fusion Rain is going to be on Sunday.
It's interesting because I wonder if they have something planned for the actual live broadcast of when those three games would be going on. I wonder if they have any extras they do, any extra bits they do. Very interested.
I don't know. We will see.
We will. Last week we talked about the map pools. We let you know what map pools there were, but we did not talk about them being increased to 12. Uh,
So the interesting thing I see in this is that we now have 12 maps, okay? And that's going to make preparation even more crucial and difficult, right?
Super
Because
difficult.
you could be playing on so many different maps if you have 2 games in a week, right? Now you don't always, but you could. And then I think that the difference of a team playing 2 games that week versus a team playing 1 game that week is gonna be crazy, right? Because the person playing 2 games that week is not going to play the same map pool likely both weeks. But I think it adds another element, but I'm not sure it's a fair element, to be honest, where some teams play 2 games and some play 1. I don't know if I'm a fan of that.
Well, and some of them, like for instance, the Defiant have, like 3 straight weeks of playing 2 games, and one playing one, and then the Charge has week one they play one, the next 2 weeks they play two, and then the next 2 weeks after they play one. It's definitely going to depend. You're gonna each team is going to specifically have to strategize, and it'll be. I mean, I think the 2 games a week thing will be just like it was in season one. You're going to prepare for the better team or the team you think you need more preparation for, and then you're going to hope for the best on the other one. Now, hopefully, if it's a 2 game a week for you, you're not taking on someone with 1 game a week.
Right, and that's I think where we'll start to see, and that's something that once the league starts, we can go into more, right? Like how many of the teams that played 2 games this week won versus how many of the teams that played 1 game. And I think that'll be interesting. So if you're playing New York Excelsior and last year's Shanghai Dragons, you're obviously going to prepare more for New York Excelsior, right? But if you're playing New York and LA Valiant, what do you do? Do you split your time and try to prepare for both? Or do you prepare for one more than the other? And then what if they both only have 1 game that week and it's against you? you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, very true, very true. And another thing I noticed that I thought was weird is about half the teams have a bye week in stage one, but all the bye weeks come in week five. But we don't have a away game scheduled for that week, so it just kind of sucks that all the bye weeks, you know, teams that get buys before the playoffs is just kind of they're super lucky, and there's a bunch of them. I guess if they do the bye weeks towards the end of the season and they do it like that for everybody, I guess it works out. But I thought it was definitely weird that many bye weeks happened at the end of the season instead of throughout the season.
I agree. And now I'm
Which-
second guessing myself on it. Well, because isn't the Dallas stage one? The Dallas
no,
game stage one?
stage two, week
Got it.
4.
Got it. So there isn't any away game stage one. Okay. So
At
no,
least
this is
none
right.
that have been announced.
Well, don't get people hoping for more away games. I don't think they announced the schedule.
True, but
So
I don't know. It's they're gonna have a. It's gonna be weird though, because the way it looks, it's gonna be a short week, week 5. Like it'll be a 2 day week.
it
That's
is
weird.
right now, which, yeah, I think is weird, but I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I feel bad for like Eternal, who has 2 games in week 5. And then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 teams that have a bye in week 5. Like,
Yep. It's
good
really,
luck.
yeah, it's really bizarre. I don't know what the reasoning is for that is, but once we find out, we will let you know. Uh, so We got done here a little early. Do we have any questions from the chat? I'll be cutting the time off of the actual audio version, but chat, do you have any questions for us? Or just something you would like us to address? Oh no, she left it unmanned. No, yeah, we were on the headset the entire time. I guess we couldn't read it, true. Totem in chat has a great question. Totem asks, with hero bands being a hot community topic right now, what are your thoughts on Jay's upcoming tournament introducing them? I think it's awesome. I've heard a lot of different things on both sides, and I am leaning towards the hero band side, and specifically the ones that Jane's been proposing, where each team gets to ban one player, and then both teams do not get that player. Like both,
Character.
if someone bans Tracer, then Tracer's off limits for both teams. You can't ban more than one tank, more than one support, and I don't think you can ban more than one DPS in his rule set, but I'm not positive on that. Uh, and he's also doing tournaments. Or I heard him tweet about possibly doing tournaments where a coach would be on the mic while they're playing, which I think would be really interesting.
For sure. Thanks for the raid, Dana. Okay, I think.
I didn't even see it, but thank you.
But yeah, I think for character bans, I go back and forth on it. Yes, I think it might make things more exciting, but that's also thinking that the meta is going to allow character bans that will differ, right? I feel like we'll just have another meta where everybody bans the same character and then you just never see this character in competitive play, right? Like I just don't think it'll be as exciting as people think it would, right? It's like you're not going to ban Zen when you play NYXL because Jonex on Zen if that means that you can't play your Zen or if that means that they still have a diva that's really good, right? Like I don't know that it's an ideal situation.
Definitely. I mean, definitely not. It's going to be whoever they perceive to be overpowered. But I will tell you, in the scrims where the pro scrims that he's been running, it actually differs quite a bit depending on map
But I feel
and the
like the
people
pro
they're
scrims
playing against.
yeah, but I feel like the pro scrims he's been running have also, just like contenders did, varied their meta more than Overwatch League did.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guarantee for like an NYX, I mean, this is why it might not be good for ratings and stuff because Jonak was amazing at Zenyatta last season. He just wouldn't get to play Zen, and I mean, we saw
Right.
how that didn't work out, and then you just cut a star player out. Also, would they be allowing the bands to go before they have to submit who's going to play? Because what if you do ban? Then do you really want Jonak in? If you ban Zen, that's where it gets a little weird.
I'm
Uh,
guessing you can pick your characters after you know, or your players after you know the character ban.
I think that would be the best, but boy, it would really throw people through a loop if the players come on stage and then you do the ban process.
Yeah,
Uh,
I just feel like that'd be unfair. Like, come on.
yeah,
But because I think you have to change your whole strategy. If they ban Zenyatta, you can't run this thing that you've been practicing all week. I also think there's no way character bans would work until they only play one game a week, every team. Because I'm sorry, playing 2 games in a week and trying to prepare for 2 games, 2 sets of map pools, and character bans. I
yeah,
mean, you're ridiculously overwhelmed.
yeah, because it could throw out your whole plan if who gets banned was a big centerpiece of that plan. Also,
On that map, though, too. Like, you'd have to have 2 character combinations for each map that you're playing that week. So if you're playing 8 different maps that week, you have to have 2 compositions that work with those maps. At least 2 compositions, right? Because maybe you're not sure if they're going to ban Zen or Diva. And so you've got to practice with Zen without Diva, and you have to practice with Diva without Zen. And you have to practice what is the current meta just in case they don't ban either of those heroes, right? Like,
you
I,
make a
I
you make a
like
really good point.
I like the idea of adaptability in it, but I don't like the idea that preparation will just be crucial and unattainable.
Well, then maybe they have to submit their bans a few days early.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, that could help with the sting of then they just know throw out Zen. Let's prepare what we're gonna do without Zen and without Reinhardt.
Yeah. I
Although
mean,
they
I
would
think
probably ban Diva.
that's what I'm saying. And so now we're just going to have an Overwatch League without Diva. To be honest, I mean every team has expressed their dislike of Diva's overpoweredness.
Yeah, Matrix is unreal good. It's the most valuable asset that you could have on a team. It just negates everything.
Yeah. And I mean, her mobility, her matrix, there's a lot of things about Diva that are really overpowered. But at the same time, do you ban a team that has a mediocre Diva? Because then Diva gets banned for you too. So like I'm not sure I'm a whole huge fan about that either.
Well, see, that's what we've seen is the bans have been quite a bit different in the pro scrims, and if
Yeah.
I don't know if that's an indicator of how it would go in the Overwatch League. They're also testing it out, trying new things, yada yada yada. But maybe it's a thing where for the different maps, you can't ban the same character. So you're like, which map do we really not want Diva on? And then that could be something that could be really cool too. Also, another thing Jane's doing is running console tournaments, which I think is super 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 nice because the console crowd has always wanted some sort of tournament, but they've just never really gotten it. And the console crowd's pretty big. It's just not it's not PC and therefore not something that Blizzard ever jumped on. But I think this is great, and for fans of the game that just play console, I think it's awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
And
Hey guys, oh, I was just going to tell people while we finish this up, if you have any other questions, go ahead and post them in Twitch chat because
yeah,
there's a delay.
gotcha. And
Mhm.
they also have prize pools for these. The console tournament, I believe, is a $1,500 either total prize pool or first place prize pool. Uh, I saw it the other day, but I can't remember exactly. But if you go check out Jane's channel or his Twitter, he's got all the information up.
For sure.
Do we have any more questions from chat?
Old Smoke brought up a good point that it feels like all the hero band talk started after Brig was introduced. And I do think you're correct on that. I think that Brig really threw a curveball to everybody in Overwatch, especially Overwatch League, and everybody's like, I just don't want a Brig. But You could also say the same thing about when Mercy was overpowered or when
Or when Tracer owned the game. There was a ton of people complaining about Tracer. Siegel, one included, he said Tracer makes, breaks the game.
or
And
Lucio at times. There's always been one, right? And there's always been a 6 composition meta that has been better than the rest. And so you can't if you take one of those characters out, I guess it doesn't matter which one. You have to completely take your comp in a different direction, right? If you take Diva out of dive, you can't run dive anymore. If you take Zarya out of goats, you can't really do goats, right? But same thing if you take Lucio or Mercy or Zen or different characters out of different metas, you can't play that meta. You can't just substitute somebody else in.
yeah, and that's the difference between a lot of MOBAs. A lot of MOBAs have enough of a character pool that different heroes do a similar job as the other hero that got banned, and we don't really have that. I assume that is going to be something that starts to happen as we move on. You'll have more hybrid characters. Like I feel like Ashe is a hybrid of McCree and Widowmaker, and I think we'll start seeing hybrids. We'll start seeing a bruising Reinhardt with a smaller shield type of thing that can
That's
actually get
great.
onto that can actually like jump and stuff like that. Like
But a bruising Reinhardt with a smaller shield is just Brig, right?
not really though. I mean,
Just kidding.
like I don't mean that small of a shield. uh,
Save myself. You're all on your own.
but I think that's something that'll start coming. But I think you're right though, and the hero bans would have to be made known prior so that they would be able to properly prepare for whatever happened instead of just getting there with a game plan and then, oh crap, they banned two of the heroes that we really needed for our whole game plan. So that's a
Right.
really good point that I haven't heard yet.
There is also the strategic aspect of it though. There is if it were to work, the strategy behind it would be very impressive, I think. And knowing who to ban and what to ban and knowing that hey, if I ban Ark's Mercy, Jonak's not going to be as great. Right? As opposed to banning Zen because I can still have my Zen. And so I think
True.
there are definitely some options for it to work, but I don't think we're there yet. But I think it would add an element, and I think it would be good later on.
Yeah, me too, me too. Is there any more questions? That was a great question, Totem. There's no
Thanks,
more
Totem.
questions. We're going to move on to closing it up. It's going to be a little bit of a shorter episode this week, but pretty soon we will barely be able to get everything into each week's episode. All right, well, we're going to take it to closing out. All right, that's going to wrap up this week's episode. We encourage you to follow us on Twitter at AlRecap. If you want to say something a little longer, send your emails to contact@alrecap.com. You can also find us in the Omnic Lab Discord. Join us by typing discord.me/OmnicLab into your web browser of choice. We live stream every week or most weeks on twitch.tv/AlRecap. I encourage you to check it out sometime because the live show has bloopers and is quite a bit different from the main show.
Not from me, just from Bob.
Yeah, she never makes any errors at all. It's just me.
Yeah.
You can support us for free by listening to the show and telling your friends. You can also go a step further and leave us a review on iTunes, which we did have one. It was actually on December 11th, but we somehow missed it. This is from Brent Soul. I love everyone in the show. They keep me up on everything in the league and the World Cup. Almost met them at BlizzCon. Love you guys. Well, we love you too. And we wish you said you almost met us. Did you see us and not come up to us? Or I mean, even if we're talking to somebody, if you're a fan, we love to meet fans of the show. So in the future, if you have that opportunity, just come up and say, "Hey," so we would love it.
Or if you just hate Bob and Andreas and their talk, you can come up and say hi to me. That's totally fine.
Which we would totally understand. We don't take it personal at all. I have plenty of people that do not like me. So, if you feel compelled to support us even further and want to join Thrill or Shazir as a producer, we encourage you to go to patreon.com/Al Recap. Anything helps. $1, $10, $300. No, I'm just kidding. We're not worth that. But just anything helps, and we appreciate every cent. There's going to be something going on with the Patreon. I will be putting that all together with the other giveaways sometime tomorrow or this week. There'll be more information coming out on that. I might do a little short episode where I just let all the listeners know, because our Twitter, unfortunately, only a fraction of the people that actually download the show follow us on Twitter. So getting it out that way might not be the easiest way. All right. Well, Mel, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at MelOverwatch, or you can find me on the Cavalry every week for some fun, just general Overwatch news.
Awesome. Awesome. You can find me on Twitter at Blazin_Bob. That's BLAZZIN_BOB. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and good luck to everyone in accomplishing your New Year's resolutions.
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year. All right, chat. Thank you guys for coming. Thank you guys for talking to the chat. Old Smoke, Totem, Shazir, Alicus, Gabe, Drunken Monk stopped by. Thank you very, very much, guys. We're trying to grow. We're trying to grow this, and yeah, we're just trying to grow this. So you coming in and chatting helps quite a bit. All right, we're gonna raid somebody. Who should we raid?
Oh, were you asking me? Sorry.
I was just, yeah. I mean, if you got someone you want to, want to raid Muma? It cracks me up raiding people with a ton of people. You just raid them with a few.
They don't even see us. We like to help the little guy. Or Ragtag.
You want to do Ragtag?
You guys, I love Ragtag. You guys, we have to do it just so you can hear him.
All right, let's do
super funny.
Ragtag, our angry Scotsman. He's a very angry Scot.
Yeah, but he's freaking hilarious.
And he says the C word a lot because it's not that big of a deal over there. So if you don't like that, then sorry.
Well, I don't like the word, but it's fine for him.
He definitely makes it sound funny. Whoops. That was not the right command. Tell him we said hi. Dun, dun, dun.
Is the awkward moment again every week. Why can't rating be quicker?
Later, guys.